Hey guys, Tyler here, bringing you the 1.6 December balance preview commander changes for the Western Front armies. So let's get stuck in. US Forces, Recon Support. The changes below intend to address the performance disparities of the commander without altering its feel. Thus the commander will continue to perform its role of light armor support while improving on its effectiveness throughout the course of a match. Well, that was a whole bunch of nothing. Raid Tactics replaces forward observers. The goal of this ability is to allow players to capitalize on the abundance of light armor available with the commander. The added sight bonus also helps alleviate one of US Forces' key late game weaknesses. Costs 40 munitions. All light vehicles can capture points at a rate of 1.25. So I think that was the same rate as the Kubel. While the ability is active. Increases infantry capture rate by 66% and sight by 20% while the ability is active. Well, that's a pretty big buff to our infantry capture rate. But note that it says capture rate. Does it apply to decapture rate as well? We'll have to test that. Okay, no CP requirement. No, wow. Duration of 45 seconds. That's actually a really long duration as well. So this seems like a pretty strong ability. It's going to be good for, capping up the map. So forward observers, previously I think it was when riflemen were in cover, they would get a line of sight bonus. So, I mean, it's not really, that was kind of cool, but it also didn't really matter that much. Raid Tactics, the infantry capture bonus is being lowered to incentivize more use of light vehicles to capture. Infantry bonus from 66% to 25%. And light vehicle capture rate unaffected. So I imagine light vehicles and infantry will now capture at the same rate. Pretty sure that's the change there. Okay, so we're going to retest Raid Tactics. Okay, so we're going to retest the 1.6.1 Raid Tactics. I tested it before, and light vehicles captured way faster than infantry. And I don't think that's supposed to be the case reading the patch notes. I think they're supposed to decap at the same rate. Decap and cap at the same rate. So we're going to activate Raid Tactics here and give it a shot.
Let's get a move on.
Okay, now they seem to be going... No, the light vehicle one's definitely going much faster. The rifleman got in there a fair chunk earlier than the light vehicle. And look, it's already done.
Ready. Send orders.
So yeah, the light vehicles are capturing way faster than infantry. And infantry should be getting a 25% bonus. So yeah, this is going to be very strong, unless this is a bug on light vehicles, which I think it might be. This is going to be extremely strong for capping territory with light vehicles. INR Pathfinders. We found that INR Pathfinders, although acted decently as early game scout, okay, I missed an and there. The usefulness of the squad extremely tailed off later into a match. To improve their scalability and reliability throughout the match, the following changes have been made. Now 4 men with 1 scope rifle. So previously there are 3 men squad and didn't have the scope rifle. Very ineffective at combat. Reinforced from 37/35 to 30. That's a huge decrease in their reinforcement cost. That's a huge. Yeah, that is crazy. Also affects Airborne, so it's good for Airborne as well. Not that Airborne really needs Pathfinders to be super strong, because paratroopers are very strong, but that's interesting. Reinforcement time decreased. Pop cap to 6, I'm not sure what it was before. Also affects Airborne. IR Pathfinders gets 33% range on abilities of Vet 2. Cost to 250, affects only Recon Doctrine. IR Pathfinders now arrive at 1 CP. So coming at 1 CP with 1 scope rifle, 4 men, probably quite comparable to Jaeger light infantry, except cheaper, and get to call in really OP artillery. We'll have to see their raw combat performance, and you know, if they can equip double bars still, and what the story is there, but they seem very strong. Beacons now also allow paratrooper manned team weapons to reinforce near them. Yeah, I remember somebody was actually asking this for this change in the forums. Looks like they listened, so that's cool. So here we are, we're going to test out the new INR Pathfinders from the Recon Support Commander, and straight away I noticed something interesting about the way that the squad forms. You see there are 3 men in the front and 1 man out the back. And so you change directions, it always seems to be that way. They always seem to have this kind of formation. 3 men, 1 man at the back. So that's something to note about their squad spacing. Can make it quite difficult for them to use. Wonder if we can spot a scope rifle on one of their guns. Is that a scope? Looks more like iron sights. Now they put their guns away, they're coming back out. Is that oh, that's the scope? Yes. So I thought maybe they might try and put the scope model towards the back, but that's not the case. The scope model is in the front, so yeah. I believe the way that the scope for these works will be the same as the one in Airborne, where as soon as a model drops below 50% health, well, not as soon as, but if a model drops below 50% health, they will be able to kill it in one shot. So let's test out how they perform against a squad of Grenadiers. So these Grenadiers are not behind heavy cover. It's hard to get this fight to happen because this model wants to stand so far behind. Okay, so we're going to test Pathfinders versus Grenadiers, because these come in at 1 CP, so they will probably be fighting Vet 0 squads with no weapon upgrade, so this is a good test. Both drop a model at a similar pace there. Vet up quite quickly, look at that, Vet 1 already. And there, it looks like they sniped that model there. It was quite high health and it just got cut down. And there we go, another snipe model. That model was about half health and got cut down in one shot from the snipe rifle, from the scope rifle. So there's a demonstration of the INR Pathfinder, stronger than Grenadiers. Vet up quickly. As you can see there, Vet 1 off just one fight. They gain some sight radius. So yeah, stronger than Grenadiers for 250, coming quite early. Should be a pretty decent unit, especially if you equip them with bars, which we should probably test if you can actually do. Yep, you can equip these with double weapons. I actually just equipped them with double bazookas there by accident, but it's because the weapon rack's on the wrong side and I wasn't really paying attention. But yeah, there we go. You can get them with double weapons to team up with the scope rifle. So it's probably going to be a very strong anti-infantry squad if you do choose to go that direction. Double bars with the scope rifle combo. M8 Greyhound. We are improving the combat capacity of the Greyhound, allowing it to perform as an AI specialist unit that can accompany heavier armor in late game pushes. The arrival time of the unit has been pushed off to allow opponents to better defend against it. Population from 7 to 6. That's actually really cheap. 6 pop cap for a Greyhound. That's really cheap. Hit points from 240 to 400. So previously you'd have to upgrade the side armored skirts. Oh yeah, armored skirts apply to Vet 0. So yeah, that's what they're doing. You don't have to upgrade the skirts on it anymore. Speed from 6.8 to 7.2. 7.2 speed. That is so fast. Wow, that is fast. That is oh my god, that is so fast. Let's compare it to like a 222. 7.2. Yeah, so same speed as the 222. Whew. Light cover, and yeah, infantry I believe retreats at 6, so it's going to be able to chase down retreating squads super effectively. So if its gun is strong, this could be a real problem. Light cover movement penalty from 0.8 to 0.9. Okay, I don't really know what that means. Maybe it's like, maybe it receives a movement speed penalty as it crushes light cover. That's what I would guess. Command points from 3 to 4. So it's coming quite late. Quite a bit later. Now has access to the M2 HP mount. Same performance as the M4 medium, but with 40 range. So it's going to get a 50 cal upgrade. Reload from 2.9/4.4 to 3. Ooh. So this is going to be like really effective at anti-infantry and chasing down squads. It has, I believe it has this very similar gun to the Stuart, right? It has less armor than the Stuart. I think the Stuart has maybe 70 armor. We can check that. So we check on that. And we can open up the old Greyhound while we're here. Stuart armor, 80 armor. So yeah, about half the armor of the Stuart. But yeah, its gun. Its gun has... Oh, it's only 60 damage. Okay, so the Stuart is 80 damage. So it's weaker than the Stuart with its gun. It's been such a long time since the Greyhound was used. It used to be really strong because of its canister shot ability, which could basically kill one-shot squads. People didn't really use it for the main gun that much. So I'm a bit rusty on it. So it's got less penetration than the Stuart's gun as well. And look, it's got the 0.5 moving accuracy instead of the 0.75 like most other US vehicles. That's also interesting. So that's got, 0.5 moving accuracy is going to make it a bit worse at chasing down squads on retreat. Alright, interesting stuff for the Greyhound. Oh, and they're changing canister shot as well. Canister shot now targets an area rather than the squad. Okay, so you're gonna have to try target it. You can't just click on a squad. Canister shot increased from 50 to 40. That's not an increase, that's a decrease. Canister far AoE increased from 0.05 to 0.15. Canister mid AoE increased from 0.15 to 0.25. Canister distance far increased from 3 to 4. Canister mid increased from 2 to 2.5. Well, they're increasing its area. They're increasing the damage it does on the outside of the area, and the damage it does in the middle part of the area. The mid is also going up as well, which is not good. You want the mid. No, it is good, because now you get near all the way to 2.5. So these are a lot of changes, making canister shot way more powerful. We have to see what its squad wipe potential is like, because even if it does like half damage to a squad, and then with its fast speed it can chase them down on retreat. Airmate Greyhound. We are giving a conservative arrival time to the Greyhound due to its potency. Command point requirements from 3 to 5. It was definitely potent, so now comes at a similar time you'd expect to see Puma from like definitely later than most factions will get their light vehicle by a decent chunk, but this thing kills squads like nobody's business. So definitely need a CP requirement nerf. Maybe just 4 though, maybe not 5, but it's so lethal. It is so lethal. Yeah. No, it'll be fine at 5. It'll still be worth buying. Just wipe squads so quickly.
Ready for battle.
Here it comes. So you don't have to upgrade with the skirts anymore.
Let's get a move on.
Upgraded with the machine gun. Same machine gun as the Sherman.
Let's get this show on the road.
And remember, its gun does 60 damage and has less penetration than the Stuart's gun, so not going to be as effective against light vehicles, but should be very strong against infantry.
Secure the ammo so we can get out of here.
I'm going to test its performance with the canister shot now. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll get a 5-man squad for this test.
Boys, you ready to roll out? Ground infantry, blast away! Fire a canister! Orders, complete!
Well, that killed that squad really fast. The canister shot didn't seem to be too ridiculous, but the anti-infantry capabilities of this with a machine gun upgrade is insane. It's like way more powerful. It seems like maybe even old T70 levels of anti-infantry. This is crazy strong. We'll test that out again. Except this time maybe we'll try and cause them to clump up on some light cover.
Good. Driver, move us forward. Hold position here. Driver.
See there, you can see the range of it. It's not super long range. Okay, it looks like it might actually have collided with the light cover there. That's interesting. Run this test once more.
Last man down. Driver, move us out. Enemy infantry. Fire at will. Move. Orders complete.
So it did about half of the squad's health and damage, I'd say. And yeah, time to kill on this thing on an infantry squad, especially if you land a canister shot, is insane. Its anti-infantry with the machine gun upgrade is super strong. M3 cluster mines replaces recon sweep. A collection of cluster bombs will drop over an area, detonating on impact. The bombs will severely damage infantry and may also stun vehicles. The paradrop uses green smoke to confuse the enemy. Okay, so detonating it on impact. So maybe this is it's weird that they're going to use green smoke on it though. That seems very unusual, unless this ability is not very strong. It seems very unusual for it to use green smoke. And replaces recon sweep. Yeah, I mean recon sweep has never been that important in US forces because major recon is a thing. So I think it was though a high altitude recon sweep, which couldn't be shot down, but I mean that doesn't really matter much. It was just like a one pass. It wasn't a loiter that couldn't be shot down. M83 cluster bombs reverted to red smoke with airstrike warning to match other off-maps. Yeah, that's good change. It being green smoke was just so stupid. Just so stupid. So now we're going to test out the 1.6.1 revised M83 cluster bombs. Now should have red smoke and should have revised explosion effects. Let's check this bad boy out. Oh, so the effects now very similar to S-mines or fragmentation bombs for Austria, and their explosion effects before they didn't really have an explosion effect at all. So yeah, that's the revised M83 cluster bombs. Okay, so now we're going to test out the M83 cluster bombs. Come online at 7 CPs. 90 munitions. See the area there, decent looking area. Got a selection of vehicles and infantry in here, so we'll see how this goes. You can kind of see these like, whoa! Oh, that's a pretty sweet animation. The scatter on those seems very erratic though. Looks like it caused a temporary engine crit on the scout car. But the scatter on these seem outrageous. Alright, so let's test out these cluster bombs again. They've cooled down. See if the scatter is a bit more. I target it right in the middle of all this. There we go. Wow, that one was a lot more effective. The second attempt. Looks like it can cause engine crits to vehicles. That time we got some carnage on the infantry as well. So it looks like this might be slightly dependent on RNG on the scatter of the cluster bombs themselves. But it looks fairly powerful. So we're going to have one more demonstration of the cluster bombs, see if it's going to damage friendly tanks this time, and maybe I can demonstrate the snare that it applies if they land and give it this engine crit. They all missed. Scrap that one. Let's try out the cluster bombs once again. Hopefully we'll see if this does friendly damage and friendly crits to tanks, and if so, we'll... It does. And there's the engine speed crit as a result. Looks like maybe going about half, maybe even a quarter speed, if I had to guess. So a decent snare on it. And yeah, it comes down, for the cluster bombs, it seems to come down to what the scatter on the bombs is like. If it's favourable, it can wipe squads like crazy. If not, it can do almost nothing. But also, remember, it comes down with that green smoke instead of the red smoke. So maybe you can fool your opponents. Certainly if they see the green smoke, they might think you're trying to airdrop in a group. Airdrop combat group, this is the meat and potatoes right here. We are changing the airdrop combat group ability to allow players greater flexibility when designing their army composition. To add the unit some flavour compared to Airborne Commander, support paratroopers, trade access to the Thompson upgrade for a special bazooka upgrade. Now drops with 1 paratrooper squad and 1 anti-tank gun. So used to be 2 paratroopers. Did it drop with the 50 cal as well? I can't remember. A paratrooper squad no longer drops with random weapons. It is up to the player to decide their loadout. So yeah, it used to sometimes come down with bazookas or LMGs or whatever. So now you're going to be able to upgrade it. And I think that, yeah, when you upgrade, well, the bazooka squad I think could plant mines. And I think it was also like old. It was old paratroopers that got some weird bonuses, but they never changed it, so I imagine they'll be going away as well. Normalized support paratrooper stats with regular paratroopers. Yeah, that's probably what I was talking about earlier. Support squad keeps the ability to build mines. Yes, good. Support paratroopers can upgrade. Oh. So, does this mean that airdrop both, even if you upgrade them with weapons, they can keep mines? Support paratroopers can upgrade double M1919 like Airborne paratroopers, or the anti-tank package like a Thompson. A Thompson package is not available. So this seems very good, that paratroopers, even if you upgrade them with the M1919s, they can still build mines. Change the hotkeys for the M1919 upgrade, who cares? Cost from 900 to 325. That is so cheap for a paratrooper squad and an unmanned anti-tank gun. That is insanely cheap. I know it says and 80 munitions. But that is insanely cheap, because paratroopers, I feel, are quite cheap to reinforce for their power level. Oh my god, this is insane. Oh man, that's going to be good. It's weird that they gave them an 80 munitions cost. I suppose that's maybe to try and account for the cost of the anti-tank gun, kind of like the support weapons you get from Special Weapons Regiment and no, not Special Weapons, Tactical Support airdrop in the Brits Commander. Anyway, CP from 7 to 5. So paratroopers coming in at 5 is quite late. I think on Airborne they come in at 3. So they will be coming in quite late in terms of veterancy. They'll be fighting against some highly vetted up units. So that will be a bit of a struggle for them. And also, you know, an anti-tank gun coming in at 5 CPs is not going to help you too much against light vehicles. Oh, I suppose it will, right? Because the Puma comes in at 5, and that's always been decent against light vehicles. But yeah, it will definitely be an option against medium tanks. Paratrooper anti-tank package. The performance of the special bazookas that paratroopers now get is halfway between vanilla bazookas and Panzerschrecks in terms of their firepower. 2 elite bazookas deal 100 damage each. 160, 150, 140 penetration. So yeah, regular bazookas do 80. Panzerschrecks do 120. Unlocks stationary cloak to allow paratroopers to ambush vehicles. So yeah, similar to other anti-tank squads like the conscript PTRS or yeah, several other squads. Plus 25% damage and plus 25% penetration ambush on bazookas. So that's actually pretty good as well. So those anti-tank paratroopers might actually be pretty good. And remember, they're a 6-man squad, so they'll be quite resilient against getting squad wiped. And they'll be able to plant mines. They seem overall pretty strong. Paradrop Combat Group. We are moving the arrival of the combat group earlier to allow players better bridge their early game composition with recon doctrine elements. Command point requirement from 5 to 4. So yeah, I did mention that it coming at 5 is a little bit late, just in terms of having the anti-tank gun available to fight light vehicles. And also paratroopers usually come in at 3 rather than 5, so this is a fine change. Okay, airdrop combat group. Let's call this bad boy in. Can these guys build? Yes, they can build the beacons that you can reinforce from with your paratroopers. Thought they would be able to, but didn't. No, for sure. I don't know if I've ever used this commander post Greyhound nerfs, especially. So in comes the squad. Can upgrade them with the bazookas. Can build mines. What we'll do is we'll change the so what we'll do is we'll test how fast these guys build a mine. Looks like a pretty reasonable time, probably comparable to most engineers building mines, faster than riflemen building mines, I would say. And if we crew this gun, yeah, you can reinforce off the beacon because it's crewed with paratroopers. So that is one of the benefits of this. And yeah, I don't think we need to test their bazookas against the tank, that'll be fine. Yeah. Mechanized Company. The commander has been altered towards heavier vehicle play thanks to improvement to the Dodge's scalability, M3's utility, and commander's late game power via more powerful tanks. Okay. Furthermore, the commander now includes the benefit of a Mortar half-track to bring rapid indirect fire to the battlefield and support mobile advances. Okay, the Mortar half-track's coming in. In order to offset the commander's newfound power, we are removing access to the off-map ability. Wow. We will continue to monitor excuse me, the commander's performance to evaluate whether the presence of an off-map is necessary or not. So the off-map in Mechanized Company was one of the strongest in the game. The speed it came down, for its cost, for its damage, it was yeah, one of the most powerful off-maps in the game. But you hardly ever saw it because very few people use this commander. So let's see what they're changing. WC-51 is changing to become more of a scout-oriented harassment role in the early game, allowing it to harass via the 50 cal upgrade and mark target vehicles to improve its viability later in a match. So it's getting cost change, 40 manpower less, no fuel cost, so similar cost now to the Kubel. Spawns with no ability to attack. So, oh, okay. So I thought it was going to get like an extra gun on top of it. It's going to have like double machine guns. It was going to be crazy. But no, you have to upgrade its gun now. For 60 munitions, that's actually quite expensive. For an early game upgrade, that's going to take a while for you to get. But then again, I suppose that's going to be kind of similar to getting a flamethrower in your scout car as Soviets, right? That still comes in a reasonable timing. Now has access to mark target ability, see below. Health from 180 to 240, so I think that's the same as the change Kubel. Frontal armor decreased from 5.2 to 3.9, so yeah. Seems like they're trying to make it a bit more like the Kubel. It's going to be transporting stuff, can then be upgraded to dish out some damage. Rotation rate increased, so it's getting a massive rotation rate increase, so it's going to be quite nimble. Population decreased from 5 to 3. This is pretty small impact on your pop cap. How much do vehicle crews cost? Because I mean at 200 manpower, you could call this in instead of a rear echelon squad if you really need repairs instantly and just decrew it. That'd be an interesting comparison. Mark target deploys a recon plane while the target vehicle received 25% reduced armor and is 25% easier to hit. The ability is on global cooldown. That wasn't very well worded. So the target vehicle has 25% reduced armor and is 25% easier to hit. So it's not a bonus damage, but it makes it easier to kill. Yeah, that's probably reasonable. I mean, it's something that is going to be quite hard to remember to use, I feel, but it does have an upside, and it doesn't mention the cost here. But I imagine it'll be something like 30 munitions. WC-51 Dodge, we find that the lack of munitions off-map abilities is too restrictive for the commander. Therefore, we are re-adding 155 artillery barrage in a different form. To prevent players from lending Dodge trucks to others, the abilities are locked behind Mechanized commander. So the WC-51 Dodge can call in 155mm artillery, so that gives you a bit of a reason to actually make this Dodge. It did seem to be, I don't know, it seems to be like the Dodge getting its machine gun upgrade at 60 munitions is a bit late, but this being able to do 155mm after you tick major is a good reason to make it, even to call it in after you've made major, because the artillery strike is so powerful. So here we are testing out Mechanized company this time. So WC-51 comes in at 0 CPs. It says it occupies 3 pop cap. 4 pop cap. I thought it was supposed to be 3. Oh, and it's actually got the covered top on it at the moment. That's interesting. If I put a squad in there, can they fire out of it now?
We can now dispatch WC-51 trucks.
Oh yeah, they can. As soon as they get in, the top goes away, and you can shoot out of it. Interesting. What happens if they jump out to the it doesn't look like the top comes back. So is there an animation for that? I want to see that. So it's got the top on, they jump in. No, it just disappears in the blink of an eye. Alright. And yeah, that machine gun costs 60, so quite expensive. Also note the revised 155mm artillery barrage now on this. There's the edge of its range. So out here is the very edge of its range. So a decent range. I mean, you know, you could do this behind shot blockers from a safe distance, certainly out of sight of most units. Mortar half-track replaces 155mm artillery. We are experimenting with adding light artillery options to the commander. Okay, whatever. Fuel cost from 40 to 30. Yeah, that was always the problem with mortar half-track. Huge fuel cost. It slows down your light vehicles, which is so important as US forces, so they're decreasing the impact on that a little bit. Smoke barrage added on separate cooldown from other barrages, so that's actually pretty powerful. And also affects infantry commander. So mortar half-track might actually be pretty good because the performance on the mortar half-track is very similar to the pre-nerf US forces mortar. It's actually pretty good. And you know, if it's got smoke on a separate cooldown, you know, you can be burning around and popping smoke like it's nobody's business, and that's certainly going to help now that riflemen are losing access to their smoke. Anyway, M3 Assault Group. We are turning the M3 Assault Group from a reinforcement half-track unit to a unit that will offer the faction flexibility. I was about to say faction flexibility. That was no good. And viability throughout the match. Healing crates will help US forces infantry to heal up at a rate much faster than afforded by the ambulance and allow them to stay in the fight for longer. Healing crates. M3 frontal armor increased from 5.4 to 11. That's a pretty decent armor increase against like regular small arms. Cost decreased from 520.35 to 460.30. So a decent manpower cost decrease there. Can drop stack of healing crates for 20 munitions. MG improved to M4/Greyhound 50 cal with the range increased to 40 from 35. Command point requirements increased from 2 to 3. So does this still come with an assault engineer inside it? Oh yes, I guess so. We're about to read about that now. Target size decreased from 1 to 0.9. That is a pretty big buff to assault engineers. They were always very squishy. So now they're getting a target size decrease. That's a pretty big buff. Viet 1 now also adds destroyed cover to the unit. Oh, that's a pretty nice change. Change hotkey for demo charges from D to X. Reinforcement cost decrease from 35 to 30. That is a huge buff as well. Assault engineers are actually going to be pretty reasonable now. I suppose, you know, one of the main point of assault engineers in the past was demo charges, and obviously demo charges have received quite a few nerfs. So assault engineers were due for a buff, but those are a lot of changes, and to get a half-track and assault engineer squad for that cost is pretty good, I think. What's the Austria half-track is 200. Is it 30 or 20? Oh, I can't remember. So assault engineers are usually 280 to call in. So yeah, that's interesting. And will help, if you're making aggressive pushes as US forces. Coming at 3 CPs though is a bit later. Could be alright. You can turn it into like the jumbo sized clown car as well, can't you? Put 2 squads in it, run around. I think that's the Barton clown car, right? When putting 2 flamer squads into the larger size half track. It's his strategy. I saw Loveness do it once as well, though. But I think Barton is the main culprit there. So now we're trying out the medical supplies.
Get out and look for wounded. Ready those medical bags. Help out.
What's going on here?
Task complete.
Okay, looks like this ability may be a little bit buggy on the medical supplies.
Get her moving.
Took me a couple tries to get it down. Okay, so we've got enemy squad up here, so we're going to try pick up the crates and then run into them, see if the healing works whilst in combat. Healing is fast from these, man. These medical supply crates, healing is very fast, but no, it does not work in combat.
Boys, you ready to roll out? Driver, move us forward.
But yeah, very fast healing. 30 munitions. Looks like it's going to have 3 charges on it as well, if I had to guess. So similar to the Stern Pioneer crates. Oh! But you come out of combat and they're still active. That is interesting. So it doesn't get cancelled using these crates whilst you're in combat. Let's just try this again. So yeah, we'll get the medical crates. Remember, they heal very quickly. We'll go into combat. Disabled whilst in combat. But then you leave combat again. Out of combat for maybe like 5 seconds, and then it reactivates the healing. So those crates are actually going to be very powerful. Sherman modifications replaces off-map barrage. Ooh, this is a spicy one. The new commander ability will help the commander offer some additional offensive options into the late game. Allows purchase of 76mm Shermans from tier 4. Identical to the Lend-Lease Sherman. So, is that even good though? Like, the 76mm Sherman is alright, but if it's at 135 cost, I don't think that's really impressive to me. Bulldozer upgrade. Whoa. Okay. So yeah, a 76mm Sherman is kind of nice, but at the same time, I don't think it's worth the fuel cost. But bulldozer upgrade, this sounds good. Allows Sherman tanks to clear obstacles and hedges. Allows Sherman tanks to... Well, it's a bulldozer. Does it just become the bulldozer? No, it doesn't. Allows Shermans to create barricades similar to 105 bulldozer. Increases hit points by 80. Reduces speed and rotation by 15% and 5% respectively. So it doesn't become a bulldozer. Just adds a bulldozer scoop onto the front, I guess. So you can build heavy cover, barricades. Increase hit points by 80. This is probably the most important thing. So your Shermans will no longer die to 4 hits from tanks and anti-tank guns. So extra bit of survivability. It does come at a speed cost, but it doesn't mention acceleration. It just says speed. So I can deal with Shermans being 50% slower as long as they have the same acceleration. That way, you know, because the problem with the bulldozer was its acceleration was so slow. It couldn't get out of the way of anti-tank guns in time. So even though it had more health, its lower maneuverability due to its low acceleration ended up just dying at a similar rate to a regular Sherman anyway. But obviously the bulldozers received some changes since back in the old days as well. So that's pretty cool. I like the sound of being able to upgrade my Shermans with the bulldozer upgrade. Doesn't mention if this costs munitions or what, so we'll have to test that out.
We have a lieutenant reporting in for duty. The battalion just released a major for action.
So there is the 76mm gun. It does indeed cost 135. So compared to the 110 of the regular Sherman, I mean, personally for me, I'm not sure it stacks up. We'll have more penetration than the regular Sherman, but yeah, I just don't. For me, I feel like the cost doesn't really justify it. It's not like the Easy 8. Well, I assume it's not like the Easy 8 where it has more health than the regular Sherman. And it looks like the 76mm Sherman can't be upgraded with the dozer, so that's a bit of a shame. So we'll build a regular Sherman now to demonstrate the bulldozer. There it is there, 70 munitions, dozer blade. So now we've got the regular Sherman and the dozer Sherman here. We're going to do a quick race. See what the speed difference is. Supposed to be a 15% speed difference. This looks like a reasonably straight piece of terrain here, so let's try that out. So it doesn't seem that bad of a speed penalty, honestly, for the bulldozer blade. And yeah, it gives you the ability to create barrier. These used to be bugged. I assume they won't be now. Dozer blade goes down. Yeah, that rumbling. Barrier is created. So that can now be used as heavy cover, kind of like a sandbag substitute. And can that be crushed? Looks like they can't be crushed by vehicles as well. Or at least ones without a heavy crush. So we've got our dozer created barrier up here, and we're going to try to run over it with the King Tiger. And it looks like you can't destroy it with anything, so it's kind of like a tank trap in that respect. Unmovable barrier for tanks gives heavy cover. This is the regular Sherman. We'll see. Looks quite durable. Looks like it's going to take about 6 hits to kill from a tank, from a regular tank. So yeah, that's the create barrier. You're going to see a lot more of these now, I guess, with this commander. Oh, but you can also destroy barrier. Looks like it takes quite a long time to destroy, though. The animation takes a while. But, you know, if you want to create a barrier briefly to stop your opponent's vehicles going through, but then later on, if you need to get through there for a push with your tanks, that could be quite helpful.